Welcome to the 100-Yard Dash Football Podcast presented by the Chiefs Focus Network, where you talks about the NFL from end zone to end zone and all 100 yards in between. Without further ado, here's you.
Yo, what it do? This is the 100-Yard Dash Football Podcast. I'm your host. You. That is the letter U, not the word. And I'm talking about the NFL from end zone to end zone and all 100 yards in between. You have to excuse me because I did not pull up my notes. I was kind of eager to do this show today, so give me a moment. But my name is you, the letter, not the word, and I'm your host. What it do? And you can find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You can find it on Twitch, the live stream. You can find it on Twitch. You can find it on YouTube or wherever you get those as well. I do this about once a week, normally on Wednesdays. But, you know, I got a big family, so you never know what could happen. But like I said, mostly it's normally on Wednesdays. Sometimes I do it earlier. Sometimes I do it later in the week. If you set your notifications, like and subscribe and so forth and so on, then you can know when I'm on. You can join and interact by joining the StreamYard stream, the Chiefs Focus Switch or Twitch stream. You can hit us up on YouTube. Chiefs Focus YouTube page or mine. And again, thanks for listening. This episode of the 100-Yard Dash is brought to you by Manscaped.
This episode is brought to you by Manscaped. Use the code ChiefsFocus to get 20% off of your order. Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, they will. We keep it moving. Where I want to start? Well, today, let's do a rundown on the show. The show is going to be, the intro, and then we go into first round picks, recap, and then the picks I liked. Then we'll go into picks I didn't like, and then we'll end the show. First, we got the news. With the NFL, there's always news. Always. And it looks like the Packers and Jordan Love have agreed on a 1-year contract extension worth up to $22.5 million, including $13.5 million fully guaranteed. So they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, which we'll discuss the 5th-year option probably next week. But they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, but they kind of did. And Jordan Love obliged, apparently, and didn't have any issue with it. So he will be, they will get to view his production for 1 more year before they decide whether they're going to move on or keep him. So the Packers and Jordan Love have agreed to a 1-year contract extension worth up to $22.5 million, including $13.5 million guaranteed. It's almost as if he had the 5th-year option already, and the extra money is for, the money that isn't fully guaranteed. It's like a bonus or some sorts. So let's move on. Well, that didn't work. We'll try that again anyway. So the draft was in Kansas City. It's my city, born, raised, so forth and so on and what have you. And I think the city did a great job of showing up. And I want to commend them. I want to commend everybody that was part of it, because that was a huge production. A huge production down there. And I think Kansas City showed exactly what we're about. And they made sure everybody was accommodated. And I know some things didn't turn out the way certain companies or businesses wanted it to, but hey, you know, that's always a crapshoot. But in general, I think the city showed up and showed out, and I commend them for doing so. Let's keep it moving. So the first thing I got is why do we y'all remember when y'all were kids, and I'm just going off the cuff here. Y'all remember when y'all were kids and you played dodgeball, you played kickball, whatever. Y'all had teams when we were in grade school. You had teams, and you remember the first person you picked. And normally, that was either your best friend or the biggest, most athletic person that you can think of, right? And that's basically all the NFL draft is. Trying to find the guy that can help you win. And normally, in most people's mind, that is the biggest and the baddest guy out there. And if not, you pick somebody you know. It's just the familiarity of it, right? Before we get into it, the draft trade record got broken this year. 43 trades over 3 days. The 43 trades over 3 days. The draft trades were broken this year. And I think that's interesting to note because people were talking about this seems like a weaker class as far as certain positions are concerned, which is, that remains to be seen. All this remains to be seen. And let me put this caveat out there as well. Even with I'm gonna be wrong on some of these picks. That's fine with me. That's kind of the nature of the biz. You're gonna be wrong at some point. It's kind of nature of being a husband. It's kind of the nature of being a man. You're gonna be wrong sometimes, and it just is what it is. But I expect to be wrong on a few of these, and I want to be wrong on a few of these. I wish all these gentlemen the best of luck in their career. I want them to do well. I want them to be the best they can be and show up and show out. But I plan on being wrong on some of these, and that's okay. That's okay. You can call me out on it. It's fine. It's fine. I will deal with it just the way it is. Um, but the trades were interesting because I know last year a lot of people said that certain things was happening, and then you had the COVID year, and it was just so much going on. And I think this year it felt like it was a weaker class based on the general consensus. And I think the trades, these 43 trades over 3 days had a lot to do with that, with people's thought on that. So I don't know exactly how it'll turn out, but I look forward to seeing what it is. So let's get into it. With the number one overall pick, the I said about to say the North Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers, they traded with the Bears earlier this year, and they picked Bryce Young. Bryce Young, see, that's the thing. This is what Frank Reich did not get in Indianapolis. He didn't get to pick his quarterback early or often. He didn't get to draft a young quarterback. He had to deal with whomever they decided to bring in to have him, work out the system. Bryce Young from Alabama. Frank Reich gets his guy. He gets somebody he can mold. He gets somebody he can work with for a long time, hopefully. He gets somebody he can build a team around. They need wide receivers. They need offensive line. They need a few things, but I think that this is a decent pick. I think I'm not a huge fan of Alabama quarterbacks. I was a fan of Tua when he came out, but he didn't really he didn't really what's the word I'm looking for? He didn't really live up to my expectations. I definitely expected him to be a little bit more than what he is, but hey, whatever. It is what it is. So Bryce is your number one pick, and I do feel like he will be good for them. I don't know what that means as far as his production is concerned, but he'll I think Frank Reich gets to get his guy. And when you get your guy, it's a little bit different when you're brought into a situation and you have to deal with whatever you've been handed, as opposed to going to a place and being able to choose from scratch what you want. And I think that's what Frank Reich gets at this moment with this quarterback. Next, the number 2 overall pick, the Houston Texans pick CJ Stroud. For a long time, I thought that they weren't going to go quarterback, and I think they were trying to convince other people that they weren't going to go quarterback first. I don't know why they were trying to do that. I don't know. I think they were trying to get CJ Stroud this whole time, but I think since Houston had that first pick, they were worried about whether they would be able to pick him. But I think Houston got their guy. And like I said, I thought they were going to pass on taking a quarterback, and I thought that was going to be the absolute wrong decision. Look, as much as we say that it takes a team to win, yes, it does. It absolutely takes a team to win in football. But if you ain't got that guy at quarterback, yeah, you if you don't have that guy, the teams that don't have that guy know that they don't have that guy, and they're looking for that guy. Believe me. So priorities first. I also feel like this was just one of those things that completely purged them of the whole Deshaun Watson situation. Watson's gone. He's been gone. But with the fact that they haven't found that next guy, it kind of hovered over the organization, in my opinion. But now that CJ Stroud is here, hopefully he's good enough to completely wipe the slate clean. But now that they got their guy, I think this will help in the healing and the mending of what this organization could have been. What this organization could have been. Let's move on. Now, Houston Texans actually had another guy that they wanted, and they traded with the Arizona Cardinals for the number 3 overall pick. And they picked Will Anderson IV, defensive end from Alabama. And this seemed like a guy that the coach wanted. This seemed like a guy that the coach wanted. And I almost felt like had they not been able to trade, they might trade with Arizona. They might have taken this guy first. Had they not been able to trade with Arizona, this guy would have been the number 2 overall pick. I have nothing to say nothing to tell me that they would have. Like, I have no insiders or anything, but it just feels like they would have took this guy. It looks like they really, really wanted him because they gave Arizona a lot. I don't even know. I was going to get the compensation, but man, life happens. But they got Ryan's guy, somebody they can build around on defense. They got somebody they can build around on offense, a cornerstone of sorts. So hopefully DeMeco Ryans, their head coach, is going to be there for the long haul, because let's be real, the Houston Texans haven't had anybody head coach for the long haul in quite some time. Shoot, who was the guy before him? Gary Kubiak and Bill O'Brien. It's been a while since both of those guys. So we keep it moving. The Indianapolis Colts are on the clock. And this is one of those situations. Again, this ties into the Frank Reich thing because he was there before. He was their head coach a while ago and got fired a while ago. But Indianapolis Colts, this is another situation where having a former quarterback that was good hovers over the organization. And now this feels like a purge. We will see what happens, but it feels like a purge as the Indianapolis Colts pick the number 4 with number 4 overall, Anthony Richardson, quarterback from Florida. Um, I I don't know if I thought this because I heard around that they were trying to get Will Levis would be chosen here, but you know, the Colts say he's gonna learn by doing. He's gonna get in, he's gonna do the on the job training thing, which is fine. As far as I can remember, I always get the guys mixed up, the Eagles, and I always get the Eagles and Arizona Cardinals head coaches mixed up. I think Shane Steichen's up there with the Indianapolis Colts. Yep, Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen was the offensive coordinator for the Eagles last season. So being able to work with Anthony Richardson and be able to bring him along should be not as difficult of a task as it may kind of seem, but shouldn't be that difficult. So the Colts say he'll learn by doing the on the job training. And again, I just thought it would be Will Levis here, but they decided to go Anthony Richardson. With the number 5. Oh, where's my number 5? With the number 5 overall pick, let me find it. With my number 5 overall pick, Seattle Seahawks. They got this from Denver from that Russell Wilson trade. But they get Devon Witherspoon, cornerback out of Illinois. I like the kid. I like his aggressiveness. But having Diggs, Jamal Adams, Woolen, and Witherspoon in the backfield, I feel like they might be trying to recreate the Legion of Boom. New stuff, brand new. This is not the Legion of Boom. Don't get me wrong. I'm not committing blasphemy in saying that. What I am saying is I think the Seahawks are onto something. They feel like they're getting back to their roots. I do think Devon Witherspoon is a great pickup. And I think that they're just trying to get back into playing defense like they used to, and having this guy to learn from Jamal or be paired back there with these guys will be great for him and great for their organization and the fans. Let's go on to number 6. Number 6, the Arizona Cardinals from the Rams through Detroit pick Paris Johnson Jr., offensive tackle, Ohio State. And he is officially now the first offensive tackle off of the board. I like Paris Johnson. And the Chiefs needed, and that's my team for those that don't know, if this is your first time listening to this, to me in general, but I liked the idea of Paris Johnson coming to the Chiefs, but that was never going to happen because we're not picking in the top 10 at all this year. So we were never going to trade into the top 10, too much draft capital, not worth it. But Paris Johnson Jr., the first offensive lineman off the board, whenever Kyler Murray comes back, I don't think it'll be anytime next season. And if it is, it's just to get his feet wet so he won't have a whole year out of football. Whenever he comes back, Paris Johnson will be able to learn who Kyler Murray is, how he operates, and be able to act accordingly. He will be able to do whatever he needs to do in order to keep he's athletic enough. He'll be able to keep Kyler Murray from getting hurt because he should be his left tackle. So I do think this is a great pickup from the Arizona Cardinals. As we move on, the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders choose Tyree Wilson, edge out of Texas Tech. So this is interesting. The Raiders are here just to try to make the playoffs. Every team's goal seems like it should be Super Bowl or bust, right? But that's just not it. That's just not the way it works. Some people are further along in the process than you are. I'm just gonna make this comparison. I would like to buy a house. I'm not there yet right now. I will get there, working towards getting there, but I ain't there yet. Some other people are, and great for them, but I ain't there yet. So I am following steps, putting things into place to make sure I'm able to do such a thing, right? Yeah, Vegas ain't there yet. Vegas just ain't there yet. And to get there, they have to go past their own division, and they haven't been able to do that. And this pick is hoping that they can get that much closer to getting Patrick Mahomes out of the way. I'm a little shocked that they didn't go quarterback to learn behind the often injured Jimmy Garoppolo. But I know Josh McDaniels is a creature of habit. I don't believe this is his best move. As far as the quarterback is concerned, I don't believe this is the best idea for him. But I do understand the move, and I think this is why I believe it's best to go. They did what they thought was best to when you're going against Justin Herbert, against Patrick Mahomes. I think they did what was best. Now you put Tyree Wilson along with Max Crosby and Chandler Jones on some levels. That could be a formidable challenge for the likes of Herbert and Patrick Mahomes and whoever, and Russell Wilson for that matter. I think everything's a challenge for him, but we keep it moving. Let's go with number 8. Pick number 8, Bijan Robinson out of Texas, running back out of Texas. The Atlanta Falcons choose a running back out of Texas. I'm here. I am always here for picking best player available. BAP, right? But boy, I don't like the positional value. It just, for me, I can't justify a running back in the top 8. Like maybe I've been conditioned too much by the media saying that running backs are a bad pick. Maybe I've fallen victim to that, and I can admit that. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to think of dude's name. Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 yards. Yeah, they didn't make it to the Super Bowl. The last teams that have went 2,000 yards, they made it to the playoffs. They didn't make it to the Super Bowl. And I know we're here at the Atlanta Falcons where they are just trying to make the playoffs, right? And Arthur Smith is one of those guys that likes to run the football, but I just don't understand this. I guess they have some situation where they knew somebody else was going to pick him early, so it is what it is. But I didn't like this pick. I didn't like this pick at all. Let's move on. Keep it moving. The number 9 overall pick from the Bears through the Panthers. Philadelphia chooses Jalen Carter, defensive tackle out of Georgia. I'm recently about picking these dogs, the Georgia Bulldogs, recently. And the stinking Eagles got them one right here. Defensive tackle out of Georgia. They just took Jordan Davis last year. And so, they were the top pass rush last year. And looks like this is the theme year in, year out. They got 3 dogs now at this point. So 3 Eagles, 3 former Georgia Bulldogs. And that will continue to be a theme, as we will see later. I'm just going to keep it moving. How he's staying aggressive while he's also preparing for the future. Keep it moving. Number 10 overall pick from the Eagles through the Saints. The Chicago Bears choose Darnell Wright, offensive tackle, Tennessee, and they finally get protection for Justin Fields. I feel like speed rushers and rushers with a lot of dip can get by him. And if you want to know what dip is, I'm trying to think of a good, because when you think of Von Miller, you think of bend a lot. Trying to think of a good guy that can give you a lot of dip inconsistently when he's rushing the passer, and no one's coming to me. But I think anybody, speed rushers, could probably get Darnell Wright on the ground, but Darnell Wright he's protection, and for a team that runs, he can get out in space, and when he gets out in space, he works better. But I'm not sure that I would have picked Darnell Wright to be a Chicago Bear. Not at the number 10 pick. I just have issue with it. I could be wrong, but as of right now, I just wouldn't have done it. Now, the Tennessee Titans choose Peter Skoronski, and I like Peter Skoronski a lot, out of Northwestern, offensive tackle out of Northwestern. The Titans, they feel like they're building for whoever their next QB is. And with that being said, they end up picking in round 2, they end up picking up Will Levis. Forgot what school he's out of, but they ended up picking up Will Levis. And so they're building for the future, because they got to prepare for when Tannehill is gone. And they picked up running back out of Liberty last year. They picked him up last year in the 3rd round, and he's not good. He wasn't good last year. He can develop and whatnot, but I think they've mentally decided they're moving on from him, and they're probably going to go with Will Levis, who they picked up in the 2nd round this year. But Peter Skoronski will be he will be guarding for them probably sooner rather than later. So Skoronski has shorter arms than I would like, but he has tenacity, and he stays with the pass rush. So I think he's a good pick for them. Let's keep it moving. With the 12th overall pick, the Detroit Lions pick Jahmyr Gibbs, running back out of Alabama. I like Gibbs, but not at the 12th pick. Not for a team like the Lions, who were a game away from playoff contention. I just don't see how a running back is going to net you one game. And in a league, in a division without now Aaron Rodgers, I don't understand why you go here with this pick. I just don't get it. I know Dan Campbell is old school. He likes to run the ball, play great defense, and QB don't screw it up. I get it. And I know they're probably planning on using Jahmyr Gibbs and other things besides merely just running the football. But geez, man, I just don't understand. I don't get it. I'm tired of talking about it. Really, I just don't understand why in the world they would pick Jahmyr Gibbs with the 12th overall pick. I don't get it, and I'm tired of talking about it. So we go keep it moving. The Greenwoos with the number 13th overall pick from the New York Jets, Lucas Van Ness, edge out of Iowa. This pick kind of took me by surprise. The Draft Network, I didn't know that much about Lucas Van Ness when they drafted him originally. The Draft Network says his cons are block recognition, expanding pass rush repertoire, and inexperience. And based on that alone, I am out on him as a first rounder. He is very limited. I don't know, man. I don't know what this situation is, but since they had a plan, have a plan with Jordan Love, and they drafted a wide receiver last year, maybe they figure it's time to work on this defense, and that's fine. But I just don't know. Sometimes I don't know what to think, and I don't know what to think here. And this is the pick that the number 13 overall is the pick they swapped with the Jets. As we keep it moving, number 14 overall pick, Broderick Jones, offensive tackle out of Georgia. The Pittsburgh Steelers choose him as they traded with the Patriots to move up to get him. Alejandro Villanueva left or they got rid of him 2 years ago, I want to say. They got their guy. If he can stay healthy, I think Broderick Jones will be a beast for them moving forward. This is the guy who I wanted for the Chiefs. I like the Georgia Bulldog pedigree. He's a dog. My only issue is he doesn't have a lot of starts under his belt. Okay. He's not, I think he played a year, maybe 2 if I'm not mistaken, but he doesn't have a lot of starts on his belt. And having those starts from guys in college and then coming up to this level of play, because this is different than you've ever experienced in college. Yeah, that could be a little bit of an issue. However, if he's the right guy, he can turn that into a positive for himself. What do I mean by that? I think that not going up against a bunch of younger guys and all that, he can learn mechanics now that'll serve him for the rest of his career without having to unlearn things that were in college against lighter, faster, less strong guys, because this is a different league. This is a different league. And it's not while it's different, while it's the same as far as the pass rush and the strength of guys, the speed of the game is a lot quicker in the NFL. And I think that having him only do 1 year could serve him well, but that's only if he's one of those quick learners. He's got to be one of those quick learners. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I don't like the inexperience, but he can use it for his betterment. Let's keep it moving. Because I only got 30 minutes left to get through. I'm halfway through. Pick number 15, the New York Jets, with the trade from the Green Bay Packers, choose Will McDonald IV, linebacker out of Iowa State, which is interesting because for the longest time, like I would check all these different mock drafts, and they would mock Will McDonald IV to the Chiefs at 31, which was interesting that he didn't fall that far down. He actually went at 15. If Will can be that guy for the Jets, expect him to be a leader. Quinnen Williams is up there on the line, and I think he's due for an extension this year. Will McDonald's a linebacker, edge, hybrid type situation, and then Sauce Gardner in the DBs. They got their leadership core moving forward on the defense. And I like it. Because that's how I would build a team. You know, you build your foundational, you got your captains, your team captains, obviously. But then for me, I would have a leader on each position group, i.e., you know, your number one guy on cornerback. I don't know how head coaches do it, but that's how I would do it. I ain't no head coach, obviously, but that's how I like seeing it. I've seen what other coaches may be doing, and that seems like it was one of the things that the Chiefs did when Patrick Mahomes first got here, and it seems to work. I could be wrong, but, you know, it is what it is. Let's keep it moving. The Washington Commanders, who I'm interested in seeing who the new ownership possibly could be, choose with their 16th pick, they choose Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback out of Mississippi State. I heard the coaching staff had their top 30 visits and they were giving out their playbook. They were giving out the playbook to those 30 prospects, right? Those 30 gentlemen. And I think Forbes, it's from what I heard, I can't remember who I heard it from, but I heard Forbes was the only one to mail the $100 back. And then he mentioned something about giving it back to him when it's time for a Super Bowl or something like that, which is interesting. I appreciate the moxie. I don't know how true this situation is, but I thought it was an interesting story, so I brought it up here. So he gets in his playbook. I like the idea of that. I think Forbes is a good pick for them. I just wish they had went elsewhere with that pick. I think they would. I wish they would have gone elsewhere with that pick. Personally, I probably would have moved up for Will McDonald if I was them, because I know two of their guys, their edge rushers, are not working out so well for them. I think they've declined fifth-year options or they're about to. And I would have just replenished the defensive line. But we keep it moving. The New England Patriots with pick number 17 from Pittsburgh, with the trade from Pittsburgh, they choose the cornerback out of Oregon, Christian Gonzalez. Hold on. It says Mississippi State. Don't charge it to my head, not to my heart. But a cornerback from Oregon, Christian Gonzalez. I don't know whether I don't know. I expect this to be a good pickup for them. I like his play recognition. I think Belichick can coach him up. And I see very little downside to his game, but I don't know what I like about the Patriots in general now. I don't know, like the coaching situation. I guess Bill O'Brien's back up there now, which now they actually have defensive coaches, which is great. And that should work for him. I almost forgot that Bill O'Brien was up there now. So this should be better now that there is a dedicated defensive coach. And I actually see very little downside to his game within their scheme, if you understand what I'm saying. So we keep it moving. And here we go with the Detroit Lions again. And they decide to pick up a linebacker out of Iowa. Shocking pick. I shouldn't be shocked because they picked Jahmyr Gibbs already, but I am shocked. They decide to pick two of the least valuable positions to draft in this day and age. 20 years ago, it would have been an A1 pick. This pick reminds me of when the Cowboys drafted Leighton Vander Esch about 5-6 years ago. Is just an overdraft. I didn't even know who the guy was. I didn't know who Leighton Vander Esch was at the time, but I looked him up and I liked him. But he didn't even get his fifth option picked up. And this just seems like a pick in that ilk, in that vein. Jack Campbell, we'll see. I want to be wrong, actually. I want to be wrong. I like Dan Campbell. I'm rooting for him. But he is old school through and through, and I just don't know how well that's going to work in today's NFL. So Jack Campbell gets picked number 18 overall, sent to the Detroit Lions. We'll see how that goes. Let's go to number 19, which is Collegiate Kancey. Oh, DT Pitt. That ain't yeah, that's him. DT Pitt. Dude, I like his speed. I really do. I think I expect him to hit the ground running. And the reason I think that is because he is alongside Vita Vea. And I loved, loved Vita Vea coming out of college. Really wish the Chiefs would have been able to be down there to get him, but the stupid Bucks come and he wrecked the offensive line in that Super Bowl. Vita Vea and all those guys wrecked it. But anyway, Kancey will be down there with Vita Vea. His head coach is Todd Bowles. I fully expect him to hit the ground running. And he should be a force to be reckoned with down there. They might not have their quarterback, but they definitely got their defense together, and they're getting younger as we speak. Let's keep it moving because time is flying, boy. With the number 20 overall pick, the Seattle Seahawks pick up Jackson Smith-Njigba. Now we starting to see a wide receiver come off the board for the first time. With Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and now Jackson Smith-Njigba, they are putting three guys that are specimens on the field, big targets, great hands, and Geno Smith is their quarterback as of now, and he signed that 3-year deal this offseason. Yeah, they're about to rack up some air miles. That's their plan. They plan to rack up a few air miles here, and I am all for it. I'm interested to see it. All for it. Let's keep it moving. See, pick number 21 was forfeited by the Miami Dolphins for the tampering situation. Whatever. We keep it moving. With the number 21 overall pick, the Los Angeles Chargers pick up Quentin Johnston. Sorry about that misspell, but Quentin Johnston from TCU. And I think this is the Keenan Allen succession plan. I really believe that. Big physical receiver. I think this is the Keenan Allen, because I feel like Mike Williams got an extension recently. I think this is the Keenan Allen succession plan, and I think they keep both of those guys right now. I think Keenan Allen will be on this team for 2023, but after that, who knows? So I think this is a Keenan Allen succession plan. And I don't hate the idea at all. I don't. But you're also about to see, looks like you're about to see the wide receivers get a bunch of quick picks for the wide receivers. So as we move on to the Baltimore Ravens, they pick up Zay Flowers with the number 22 overall pick. Baltimore picks up Zay Flowers out of Boston College, wide receiver. They don't necessarily have to go after D-Hop right now, but they still might. And after everything's a lot more sound in Baltimore now that they gave Lamar an extension. They gave Lamar the extension, so there's no shakiness there. I feel like everything's right with the world right now. I feel everything's right with the world there. You got your wide receivers. You brought in Odell Beckham. You got Zay Flowers. And then you got the guys that you had before. I do think that they still go after D-Hop. Because at some point they got to because they were close last year. They could have beat the Cincinnati, the Bengals. They could have beat them. They just had the wrong quarterback in there. So now they got to make sure that they keep Lamar upright and be able to get him down the field, get the ball down the field. By the by, the Ravens are declining the little bit of news. The Ravens are declining Patrick Queen's 5th-year option. So that's something to note. Let's keep it moving. With the number 23rd overall pick, the Minnesota Vikings select Jordan Addison out of USC. I'm shocked that they're going to keep it moving with Cousins. Cousins is in the final year of his deal. I thought this was where Levis was going. I really did. That way they could get the 5th-year option on him. I still think Levis goes quickly, but I thought Levis would be in Minnesota. And I'm trying to figure out, I don't hate Kirk Cousins, okay? But I'm trying to understand why. What is it about him that makes the Vikings think that they can run this back every year, just keep doing the same thing over and over and just figuring out who the receivers are? I don't understand. They don't even have they've gone through 1, 2, 3 different like 3 different phases of wide receiver up there since Kirk Cousins has got there. And I don't understand why they think that they can just figure it out with Kirk Cousins. Because at one point they had Diggs, they had Thielen, and they had one more guy. I can't remember his name. And with that being said, they had the running back as well. That his name escapes me. And they didn't figure it out with him then. And so they're going to put Jordan Addison with LSU's wide receiver, whose name is escaping me. And they're going to try to figure it out there. But I just don't think it's going to work. And I just don't understand it. But we're going to keep it moving anyway. The New York Giants in a trade from Jacksonville with the number 24 overall pick, they pick up cornerback out of Maryland, Deonte Banks, methodically building their defense through the draft. They've already given the offense the weapons through free agency, and they're giving the defense young weapons through the draft, which I'm not a hater of. They were able to pick up, oh man, I can't even think of his name now. The tight end from that used to be with the Raiders. Now he's with them. And now they pick up Deonte Banks from Maryland, who I think should be able to get in there and just tear it up for the New York Giants. Let's keep it moving. Time's really moving on us. The Buffalo Bills from Jacksonville through the New York Giants select Dalton Kincaid, tight end out of Utah. This was a pick for me that I'm like, what? Because they just picked up, oh man, big tight end out of Mississippi State, if I'm not tripping. That name's gonna kill. Like, oh man. Sometimes you think you could pull these things up. Bills, tight end, Dawson Knox. They picked up Dawson Knox about 3-4 years ago, and I thought he was at the time. I thought it was a bad pick, but he ended up being really, really part of that offense, like a key part of that offense. And seeing them pick up Dalton Kincaid tells me that they might be gearing up big time. This might be their last. I feel like personally, I feel like this is probably their last huge push to get them over the top, get them to the championship game, and get them in the Super Bowl, because they just haven't been able to replicate that 2019 season. I think it's 2019. They haven't been able to replicate that, and just figuring they could give Josh Allen weapons and go from there and figure it out. That's what they're doing. I still think that they pursue D-Hop as long as the Arizona Cardinals decide to what's the word I'm looking for? Not trade him, drop him. And if they drop him, I think it's open season for a lot of teams. And I think the Buffalo Bills are one of those teams. Anyway, we keep it moving. With the number 26 overall pick, the Dallas Cowboys pick Mazi Smith, defensive tackle out of Michigan. At this point, I heard that the Chiefs, and I ain't no insider, so you ain't got to do that. But At this point, I thought the Chiefs were trying to move up, and I don't know if they were. I think they were actually trying to pick him, from what I heard. Don't know if that's completely true or if they were trying to pick someone else, but I heard that they were trying to trade with the Dallas Cowboys, and Dallas Cowboys said no. I wanted the Chiefs to move up here to pick Nolan Smith at this point, but it turns out they were in talks with him, and it just never materialized. So the Dallas Cowboys pick up Mazie Smith, defensive tackle, Michigan. I saw that their star pass rusher. Oh man, what is his name? Ooh, man, time when words get by you. This is why I need a co-host. Um, I can't even remember his name, but when the pass rusher that they have um saw that they picked him, that he was rejoicing. So that's great for them. I think this is going to be great for them, strength in the strength. So um Dallas Cowboys got themselves a pass rusher in the middle and a run stuffer. So let's keep it moving. The Jacksonville Jaguars are now on the clock, and they choose Anton Harrison, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. This is one of the teams, or one of the picks that a lot of people had the Chiefs being able to move up to get. This is the pick that they traded with Buffalo. Yeah, this is the pick that they traded with Buffalo, and this is and Anton Harris is the pick for the gentleman that left for the Chiefs. This is his replacement. So, yeah, I definitely think that this is one of those situations where Anton Harris will definitely be able to learn, grow with Trevor Lawrence, because I do think Trevor Lawrence still has a little bit of room to grow and get better. I'm not saying he'll get worse. He'll grow and get better, and Anton Harris should be able to grow with him and do what he needs to do in order to get better. Next pick, with the number 28 pick in the 2023 NFL draft, the Cincinnati Bengals draft Myles Murphy. I'm a little shocked here. I'm a little shocked. I thought they were going to go offense here. I thought the Bengals were going to go offense. But they decided to go defense and go Myles Murphy, defensive end out of Clemson. Yeah, more pass rush. I I think there's still some tightness in this young man's pass rush, but he's so strong. He has speed. He has strength. And when I say tightness, I think of bend, and I've mentioned bend before. And I just think he has a little bit of tightness there, but he has the speed, and he has the strength to get out of situations where offensive linemen could put him in certain situations that he'll have to use his strength to get out of. That's the best way I could put it. So let's keep it moving. With the number 29 overall pick, the New Orleans Saints from San Francisco through Miami and Denver choose Brian Bresee, defensive tackle out of Clemson. They're getting younger on their defensive line, which is good. And what it's going to do is help that aging backfield, that defensive backfield. I like this pick. But then again, I was a huge fan of like defensive line help all this kind of offseason. I thought that you had a lot of defensive line help to end the season. Not to end the season, to help build your defense. And if you're asking me how I would build the defense, I would build it from the inside moving out, which is not abnormal for a lot of people, but I would start at the defensive line. It's all about pressure. You keep the pressure up, in my opinion, and then it helps out your cornerbacks and your defensive backs in general. So I'm all about pushing to get these defensive tackles and defensive ends, edge, so forth and so on. So I think this pick could really help the New Orleans Saints. and we're going to keep it moving. This one's a sore spot for me. I've liked the Philadelphia Eagles a lot. I paid attention to them when Andy Reid was there, and I'm really upset um now that they're doing really well. I'm not upset that they're doing well, but man, they picked Nolan Smith, who was falling, just free falling down these lists, and Philadelphia goes in with their pick that they have for this year, and they pick up linebacker slash edge out of Georgia, Nolan Smith. Last season, I think they broke the record for tackles in the season or sacks in the season, and their pressures was crazy. And now they got all 4 Georgia Bulldogs from 2 years ago, a year ago, and this year. They got 4 Georgia defensive linemen. I liked all these guys, man. I really liked all these guys. You got Jordan Davis. You got the kid they just picked up here earlier that they picked up. And then this is the one that Nolan Smith, when I saw him tumble down the draft order, I was hoping the Chiefs would really go get him. He was the one that I really wanted. Forget Maisie Smith. Forget Miles Murphy. I wanted Nolan Smith. I wanted the Chiefs to go up and get him. And when they never did, I was just bummed because I was super surprised that the people let the Eagles get him. And now you got a line that's familiar with each other. Also, you got their senior statesmen who, of course, are going to be there to help them as well. It's just an embarrassment of riches for the Philadelphia Eagles. I know they didn't win the Super Bowl, but boy, they are not letting up. They are not here to rest on laurels. These dudes are ready to get after it this year. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of looking at it. Let's keep it moving because I was bummed about the Eagles being able to get that pick. Last but not least, the Chiefs, your Super Bowl winning Chiefs, pick up Felix Anudike-Uzomah, edge out of Kansas State. Now, originally, I was so bummed that we didn't get Nolan Smith that I was not really a fan of. I'm not going to say I wasn't a fan of FAU, but I just was bummed that we didn't get Nolan Smith because I wasn't expecting him to fall that far. But Felix Anudike-Uzomah is a great player. He had been mocked to the Chiefs a month or two before the draft. He was heavily mocked to the Chiefs. And so I started looking him up, and I like what his progression was I liked his progression throughout his career. And then to hear K-State's coach talk about him, I think his name is Coach Kleiman, but to hear K-State's coach talk about him and how he progressed over his time at K-State, being from Kansas City and all that situation, local kid, local draft location, local school, I like it. I like it a lot. I expect him to be a day one starter, but not 100% of the snaps or even, the majority of them. He'll get a good amount of snaps at first, but I do expect them to bring him along and just kind of use him in the same role as they used a lot more frequently than they did with the linebacker out of Mizzou that they drafted 2 years ago. Oh, why is his name escaping me? But I do expect him to come along early and often. I would like to see Frank Clark back to kind of lead this young man to help him grow, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So it's going to be different drafting an edge, and we're going to see what happens. And I look forward to seeing this young man on the field. That's it. That's what we have, and I appreciate everyone listening. That is the first round. I am not proficient enough in this draft to be able to tell you about the second, third, and fourth round. There's some I know, there's some I don't. There's way too many people in the draft for me to be giving you a breakdown of all of them. But there's some names I do know, there's some names I don't, and I do. There's just a lot going on there. Now let's go through the picks that I liked. I like Nolan Smith to the Eagles. And the second one I liked is Zay Flowers to the Ravens. But another wild card that I liked, of course, is Mazie Smith to the Cowboys, which I think will pay out for them. And I think that they're going to get their pass rush taken care of. Picks I don't like. Yeah, I know I don't like none of the Lions picks. I've kind of gone off about that. But I just don't understand these least valuable positions. And then they go draft a tight end in later rounds after trading Hockenson, who I thought was a great talent, to a division rival. It's stupid to me. I just don't understand. I know Dan Campbell's an old school guy, but still, I thought it was dumb. And the Falcons are in the same vein. Throw them in there too. One more. I actually had one more. I wanted to put the Commanders into this realm because I think they need much more than just a cornerback. But seeing that they're methodically trying to figure it out was different for me. So I won't put them in the picks that I don't like. But that's it. That is all we have. That is all I have for today. Thank you for sticking around with me. I know it was a bit much. That was a lot, an hour's worth of a show, but the draft was great. I loved it. Maybe Miami will find their way in there next year unless they decide they want to do some more cheating. But thank you all for listening. Again, this is the 100-Yard Dash, where my name is you, and I'm covering the NFL from end zone to end zone and all 100 yards in between. This is a Chiefs Focus podcast and presented to you by Chiefs Focus, and we appreciate you listening. I appreciate you listening. Can't wait to see you back. Again, I think next week we're talking about fifth-year options, so definitely come in and holler at your boy about that. Again, my name is you. That's the letter, not the word. And we will see you next week. Deuces.